Welcome back, Shalligators. Yes, I'm back in America, and I just realized my dumb shirt says America on it. This is how tired I am. Like, I might have slept in this. I definitely ran errands in this shirt, and I'm just like, as you guys have been following along on my Instagram, I just got back from Paris. I was also in Florida. I've been gone a long time, and I'm leaving again in like 22 hours. I'm heading to Guadalajara, Mexico. Guadalajara. I love saying that name. I'm headed down to Guadalajara, Mexico for my friend's birthday extravaganza. He's throwing like a 3-day like birthday palooza, like a Coachella for himself. So it's gonna be so much fun. Am I tired? Yes. Should I be going? Probably not. But when I do go, I'm going to be documenting it all and of course giving you guys some historical facts about where I'm going. If you've been following me on Instagram, Shallon XO, through my journey through Paris, you will have read the history things that I'm posting. Also today is Cinco de Mayo, and I posted something about that in conjunction with my Paris photos because Cinco de Mayo celebrates Mexican independence over France, which a lot of Americans don't know. They think it's independence over us, and that's not the case. Not the case at all, but close. So, but before we get started, and speaking of Paris, just a quick word from today's sponsor. Shalligators, you guys recently came along for the ride when I went to Paris, and we've got some Shalligator getaways coming up to Italy later this year. Unfortunately, not a lot of opportunities to speak French and Italian or even Spanish where I live in Montana. And I even tried to go back to school, to the college here. First of all, it was gonna be $4,500 to take a level 2 Italian class so I could brush up and be ready for the trip. And they wanted my transcript. Like, don't even, no. So, what's a girl to do if she wants to either brush up on the languages she knows or learn a new one, like I'm trying to do with Spanish? For me, the answer was easy. Babbel. You can do short 10-minute lessons focused on practical conversations that you're actually going to need. Plus, you're gonna learn things like holidays, about the culture, slang terms, like, because you wanna sound cool, right? You wanna blend in, you're one of the locals. Plus, Babbel's award-winning technology is scientifically proven to have you speaking this new language in 3 weeks. It was absolutely indispensable for me before this Paris trip, and I'm diving back in right now to brush up on my Italian. But it was great in Paris to be like, and as you guys know, I was in Paris by myself, and being able to speak and interact with people, I didn't feel like a tourist. I didn't feel like a stranger in a strange land. I was just a very chic Parisian girl. Je prends mon 3e croissant de jour. I will take my 3rd croissant of the day, thank you. So, if you want to branch out, learn something new without having to pull up your stupid transcript, let me tell you, Babbel's got you covered, and I've got you covered with a super special deal. Get up to 65% off with a 20-day money-back guarantee by clicking the link down below. A bientôt, Shalligators. You guys have been asking for this video forever, and I have literally been avoiding this because it's so toxic on both sides. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I hate these assholes. I hate these people. I hate them both. I hate them both. It is such a literal shit show. I mean, she's pooping in a bed. Oh, brother. Okay. We're going to talk about what's going on, who's right and who's wrong. Spoiler, they both are. And more importantly, what we can get out of this, right? Because like I said, I've avoided talking about this case because I'm like, first of all, I don't want to victim blame her. I believe 100% she was a battered and abused woman, but I also believe she is an abusive woman. So what can we learn here? How about how to stop being toxic? Yeah. Us. How do we stop being toxic? How do we walk away from a toxic relationship? And I'm not really going to focus too much on like a physically abusive relationship because it's a whole different pathology. You know, I've been in one. Some of you guys have. It's horrible and sadly so very common. So that's not really what I mean. I mean just like a run-of-the-mill bullshit toxic ass relationship. You get too drunk, you fight, you make up, you break up. Blah. How do you break free from this? And more importantly, how do you break free from that in yourself? Because I've got news for you, girl. This relationship, this toxic relationship, you're not only toxic because of him, you're toxic because of you. The relationship is just the venue for the circus, okay? But you're both maybe kind of being clowns. And listen, I'm not saying this to judge you. I've been there several times. I'm a hot-tempered woman, and Yikes. We're going to get into it. But before we do, like I said, follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up with my jet set adventures, get some fashion inspiration. You can shop on my looks and get some historical tidbits about what's going on, plus some daily inspo to keep boundaries, feel confident, cast out the fuckboy, you know it. Also, speaking of travel, if you want to come with me to Italy, oh my God, I would love to have you. I think we've got 2 or 3 spaces left for our second Italy trip. We are doing this November. I believe it's November 2nd through 8th, I think. I don't know. I've been traveling so much, time is a flat circle. I have no idea. But if you really like my historical tidbits that I've been sharing about France, it is nothing compared to what I know about Italy, Renaissance Italy, ancient Rome, art, architecture, all that stuff. It's going to be just a nerd fest. But it's more than that. It's going to be a sisterhood fest. We really have so much fun on these trips. Girls come by themselves. They don't know anybody else. And by the end of it, we are all besties. Speaking of coming by yourself and being alone, check out this week's episode of my podcast, Girl on Top. I traveled to Paris solo and I did a video on this, the recap just the other day. But I also kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper this week on the podcast and talk about how to be comfortable being alone. And I don't mean in Paris, I mean just anywhere, in your bedroom. How can we break that need to always have stimulation, what it means, and how we can deal with the fear-based brain that tells us we're gonna die alone, we're not cool, nobody likes us. We're gonna put that bitch in her place. Okay. Speaking of people getting put in their place, Johnny and Amber, fuck my life. The fact that this trial is even happening blows my mind. So it's a defamation trial that Johnny Depp says that basically Amber Heard ruined his career, right? Both of these motherfuckers ruined each other's career. They ruined their own careers. The thing that blows my mind about this whole thing, it's like, walk away. Just walk away. At some point, let it go and keep it moving. Now look, this is an easy thing to say as someone who's an outsider. And I'm not only speaking from Johnny's point of view or Amber's. It's always an easy thing to tell someone else, let it go, move on. And when you hear that, when someone says that to you, is there anything that takes you from like a 5 to a 35,000 on the anger scale faster? It's like, why don't you just calm down? Oh, well, now I'm calm. Yeah, okay. It's so minimizing to hear, just move on. Just like, don't worry about it. When I got canceled, that's what people said. Oh my God, just like laugh it off. Laugh it off? It's not funny to me. Don't tell me where my boundaries are. Don't tell me what hurts my feelings and what doesn't. And don't tell me when to disengage. Well, hold on. Actually, don't tell me 2 of those 3 things. Boundaries, don't set those for me. My feelings, I'm allowed to feel them. But when to disengage? Maybe that is something that other people kind of might know better than we do. I think for women like us here on this channel and my gays, hi gays, walking away from someone or something that is unjust, it's not always in our nature. But you know what? We talk a lot about what's in our nature and we're hardwired to do this. We're also hardwired to pee wherever we want. Amber Heard has ran with that, right? But the rest of us don't do that. We can override our animalistic impulses, not Amber, but okay. So just because we don't want to disengage, just because something isn't fair, doesn't mean we have to keep plugging in. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about Johnny and Amber. So yeah, they're embroiled in this god-awful nightmare hellscape defamation case that, like, if they thought their careers had been dinged by their divorce and all the bad press before, this was the nail in both of their coffins. I mean, they are both done in Hollywood. Johnny has been dropped from Pirates of the Caribbean, which is what prompted this lawsuit. And he said, it's because of Amber calling me a wife beater and blah, 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 that like I lost out on this huge franchise. Johnny was also, from my point of view, dropped from the franchise because he was not a good employee. I remember when I was at Star writing so many stories from extremely reputable sources. I mean, I saw all the sources and it was like personal assistants, camera operators, like people on the set of Pirates of the Caribbean down in Australia who were like, we had to have someone stationed outside his house 24 hours a day so he didn't burn it down or like OD or something like that, and make sure he got up on time. Like we would have to have his call time 4 hours earlier than it actually was because that's how late he would be. as someone who has worked on multiple TV shows, I've had my own TV show. For someone to show up that late is such a fuck you to everyone working on that production. It galls me. I could never do something like that. And I've worked on like little rinky-dink reality shows, not like a blockbuster movie. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are potentially working on this, and your bitch ass won't get out of bed because you've been on a bender? Fuck you. Like, that makes me crazy. And that right there, if I was the director, I'd be like, bye, we'll kill off Captain Jack. I don't give a fuck. We're not having this whole production wait because you're lollygagging around in bed doing who knows what. So Johnny was not like, Johnny on the spot. You know, he wasn't exactly employee of the year, and he is an employee like the rest of us are at our jobs. He wasn't exactly employee of the year, but sure, I'm sure these allegations by Amber didn't help. You know, you're working for Disney. The mouse doesn't love wife beaters. But the fact that he went so far as to drag this whole thing into a court of law, knowing, Johnny, you ain't got a wooden leg to stand on. You ain't got a peg leg to stand on, motherfucker. Amber's testimony that just came out the other day, you know, she just did her testimony. Not great for Johnny. Pretty darn compelling. Now look, Johnny's testimony and the other testimony about Amber, not great. Her testimony about him, though, is just as damning, if not worse, because, I mean, hitting her, drugs, his own daughter, you know, fled the private island because he was so out of control. And what stood out to me is that, like, Amber really cited a lot of incidents, and she called out multiple eyewitnesses, you know? And that means, like, why would you bring up an incident and say, well, Joan was there, Diane was there, Michael was there, if under cross-examination, these people would be like, no, I wasn't. I didn't see that. Clearly, they're going to corroborate what she's saying. So she's not going to bring up these examples if they're full of shit. I believe completely that Amber is an abused woman, and the way she described her reaction to things resonated a lot. Like, she didn't know his tattoo Wino Forever was like this Winona Ryder thing. Like, who cares? She was young. Like, she wasn't there for the 90s when he was actually hot. I know. She really got the bad version. But she asked him about it, and he slapped her. And she's like, I didn't cry. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. And like, basically she was so nervous. And he's like, you think that's funny, bitch? And slapped her again. And she like fell over. I don't know if you've ever been slapped by a man. I have. I get that reaction. I do. You're so stunned, and like, laughter is sometimes a panic reaction. You know, a lot of us have been nervous and we're like, ha ha ha, and you know, we're just like cackling like a madman. I get that reaction. I do. I also get that Amber is an actress. I also get Johnny is an actor, and during his horseshit testimony, just so quiet and contemplative and talking about his mother, and who fucking cares? Like, both of these people are running so much game on each other, on us, on the press. It's such this swirling vortex of toxicity. Do I believe Johnny hit Amber? Yeah, 100%. Do I believe Amber at some point kind of snapped and provoked him into a lot of these violent episodes? Yes. Does that mean he's absolved of responsibility for his behavior? Of course not. Of course not. It does, however, though, mean it can take two to tango. You know? Toxicity is very rarely a one-sided kind of thing. Because what do we say? Don't ask a clown why he's being a clown. Ask yourself why you keep buying tickets to the circus. Right? When I look back on the abusive relationships I was in, forget abuse. Let's take physical abuse off the table. Let's just talk, like we said, run-of-the-mill toxicity. When I look back at my most toxic relationships, the screaming fights, the demented text messages, the notes app. Oh, the drafts in the notes app. And another thing, like 20,000 words. I was the one drafting those 20,000 word thing. I was screaming right back at him. I was responding to those insane text messages. I was opening the door and physically letting this person in my house so we could fight in real life. It took two. Yeah, the guy I was dealing with might have been an idiot and a clown and unhinged and demented and off his meds. But I only knew that because I was there. I was still there. I wasn't walking away. I did eventually. I was still engaging with this person. Does that mean that I deserved whatever bullshit he might have brought to my doorstep, whether it was insults or a shove or a smack in the face? No. But it does mean I was bringing some level of toxicity to the table to even entertain that scenario, to even have it play out. Ladies, we could sit here and be Team Amber because Johnny seems to be pretty abusive. We could dismiss all the bed poop, all the MDMA, all the nightmarish behavior from Amber and focus just on what Johnny did to her. We could do that righteously. We could do that in our own relationships righteously. We could focus on the toxicity of our partners. We could. Do you know what that makes us? Well, it makes us right. It does. But it also makes us victims. I don't suborn victimhood. I hate it. And that's why I hated, there's a lot of reasons why I hated being in an abusive or toxic relationship, but I hated what it was doing to my self-perception. I hated that it was turning me from a champion, an alpha female, a bad bitch who stands on her own, to a victim, to a weak, confused victim. That's not how I want to see myself. But you know what? It is how a lot of people want to see themselves. It is. How do we know this? The relationships they keep allowing. What we permit, we promote. And the reason we do that is because on some level, we kind of like it. Now look, like is not like, oh, I like frozen yogurt. I like acai bowls. No. When I'm talking about like, I'm talking about it from a psyche, a subconscious place. Like in these categories means it feels familiar. Our mind is hardwired to do what? What's our basic motivation? Staying alive, right? Now you're probably thinking, okay, how would me staying alive equate to me being in an abusive or toxic relationship? That's a good question. Because we are drawn towards what's familiar. Because when we think about our caveman brain staying alive, where do we have a higher chance of staying alive? Someplace we've been, a scenario we've experienced where we know the outcome, even if it's bad, we can at least prepare for it. Or this crazy unknown place, experience, person that maybe the outcome's going to be great, but maybe it isn't. And now we're in this state of negotiation. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? We're in this state of hyper readiness. That uses a lot of energy. We're all just kind of cavemen, right? So what does our brain gravitate towards? The path of least resistance, the path it knows. Even if that path is not great, it's a path that's familiar. And this is why we don't date people who we like. We don't date people who are kind and thoughtful. Because of course, if you ask any person on planet Earth, what do you want in a partner? Everyone says the same thing, more or less. No one's like, he shoves me. He breaks my phone. I cut the crotches out of his pants when I'm mad. That's what I want. Nobody says that. But yet a lot of people chronically have a dynamic like that. Because we don't date people who make us happy. We date people who remind us of something we've already experienced. Usually that's our more difficult parent, right? Johnny, in his testimony, talked on and on and on about his mother. And I think that was what he was trying to do, is evoke the parallels between his toxic, abusive mother. I believe that that's how he described her, right? And Amber. For Christ's fucking sakes. Are they different? I don't know, probably not. From what we've heard about Amber, no, she's not exactly a box of fucking kittens, but neither is he. I don't know why Johnny went down this road knowing how guilty he is. Like, what did he think she was gonna say about him? Did he not think there were any examples she could cite of how toxic he is? It's crazy to me. I do feel for her. She has so much less star power and, clout. And, she's a woman. She's a woman. I feel sorry for her as a woman watching other women get dragged into a man's bullshit and where they just can't ever let it go, which to me is a form of abuse. Like, continuing this saga is in and of itself a violence. However, I look at her behavior, again, two to tango. Don't hit people if you don't expect to get hit back. I think that's just a good rule of thumb. Whether it's a man, whether it's Crystal at Applebee's, you pull that arm back, you better be prepared for a full send in terms of a fight. When I've hit somebody, and I have, I was fully prepared for them to hit me back. You can't be violent and do violence and assume that everyone else is operating with this rigid boundary that's somehow going to work out in your favor. Oh, I can punch someone, but they're never going to punch me back. You want to bet? Try it in Montana, man. And speaking of boundaries, you know, the fact that Johnny is admitted to like a lifetime of drugs, these insane benders, but I would never hit a woman. Really? You would drink and do drugs until you pooped on yourself and passed out in your own vomit, but somehow in your addled brain that can't even walk, oh, no. I would never hit a woman. Give me a motherfucking break. Come on, man. Logically, that just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. You know? I don't know a lot of addicts, like fall down addicts, who just have this unimpeachable moral code. People suck dick for drugs. Like, come on, Johnny. Come on. Okay. So what can we do if this dynamic between the two of them, and I don't mean the abuse, I don't even mean the drugs, I mean the fight, the combat lock, where you can't let it go. We talk about war a lot because I like it. I like to fight. Let's go. Come to daddy. I like an argument, not like a fight, but I like debating. I like to fight. I'm a bellicose person. Anyway, we talk about war. And I told you when I was in Army ROTC, one of the things they drilled into us is, what is your enemy after? Peace or victory? If both sides are after peace, the solution presents itself quite easily, usually. But if one person is after peace and the other person is after victory, because those two are absolutely not the same. Not the same at all. So, when you're in this Johnny-Amber dynamic, you're not after peace. Neither Johnny nor Amber is after peace here. They're after victory, right? Obviously. They wouldn't be engaged in this court battle, in these many myriad court battles, these public relations battles, if they just wanted to move on. Because if what you are after in your life is peace, like I said, the path is usually clear and it is almost always walking away. But the thing that prevents us from doing that is the injustice as we deem it. As we deem it. Wait a minute. Don't even come here, Shallon, and try to say that my boyfriend's toxic ass behavior is somehow just and I have to say that it is. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can't change what has happened. You can't change this man. You can't change the dynamic you two have with each other, probably, but you can change what it means. You can change the story that you're applying to it. And if the story you're applying to it is, this is so unfair, this is so unjust, this man has taken so much from me, I cannot let this go. How does that possibly lead you to a place of peace? Well, first of all, Shallon, that story is correct. He has taken from me. It is unfair. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying you're incorrect to apply that story to your situation. Not at all. I am saying, hasn't he taken enough? At what point are you going to have to look yourself in the face and say, I am part of my own abuse? He hit me then. He talked shit about me then. He was rude to me then. He flaked on me then. I am the one keeping this alive and therefore abusive and toxic and hurtful. He's not even contributing anymore. I'm the one who is staying stuck in this mindset, in this revenge spiral, in whatever that might be. I'm kind of the one doing it. This is especially true in the case of being bullied, right? Being bullied is a horrendous, I truly can't even imagine. It's just horrific. But people, we all know people, or we see people, we even see celebrities who are like this. And this is what makes me so crazy. I was bullied in high school. Get the fuck over it. Get the fuck over it. That bully stopped saying things to you in, 1997? And here the fuck we are. You've picked up where they left off and you're just saying it to yourself. The bully, they moved on. They moved on to a new victim, whatever, been smashed by a tractor trailer, hopefully, who knows. You're the one now who is bullying you by continuing to repeat these messages in your own mind. Is this fair? Is this a fair thing for me to say to you? No. It's infuriating. I know. You have a righteousness to your anger, for sure. Where the fuck has that gotten you? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? How can I be happy, though, to move on and just let them win? Okay, I get that. And believe me, the people who have come against me in my life, they didn't come to play. These weren't perceived insults. These were direct attacks. Like, I know. And I go through this myself. So I'm lecturing you, but I'm also lecturing me right now. How can I move on and be happy when these people just get to walk around? Like, where is the motherfucking justice? Honestly, that's a reason I've become a lot more religious. Like, I can't sleep at night unless I can think God will even the score. Maybe in this life, maybe the next. I pray to my pagan gods because they are vengeful as fuck, and I know my enemies aren't pagan. I got Zeus, Hecate. I got Zeus, I got Hera, I got Hecate on my side. Anyway, I get that. But look, let's redefine win, okay? This is how we get out of something toxic. I can't let them win. What is win? What does win mean? Ideally, win means, well, they're crushed to death by a tractor trailer, right? Okay, well, barring that, it means maybe I prove them wrong. Okay. How important is it, though, to prove your worth and your value to someone who you do not value? Maybe win could instead be an unimpeachable, bulletproof sense of self. Well, that's not as fun as a tractor trailer killing someone. I know that. Believe me, I know that. But I'm trying to keep you out of prison. What if win could be redefined? Because what did we say? We can't change what happened. We can't change the dynamic. We can't change our enemies. We can't change the toxicity. But we can change what it means. We can change what it means by redefining the ultimate best possible outcome. That sounds annoying, Shallon. Well, I know that. It is. It is. I'm not telling you that any of this is easy or that it's fun. Becoming a non-toxic person is fucking, it sucks. It sucks. It is so much easier to be toxic. Like it's easier to just poop in your bed. I mean, that's easier. Is it who you want to be, though? Are you a bed pooper? I don't think that you are. So, if you're not an actual bed pooper, are you an emotional bed pooper? Again, I don't think that you are. No. Here's how we get out of our toxicity. Recognize that that's maybe where you are. Is that who you are? No. No. There's your behavior, and then there is your character. I hate it when people look at someone and they're like, but they've got a really good heart. Fuck your good heart. Fuck your good heart. Fuck your good heart. I don't care. I'm about behaviors. You know who probably has a good heart? Every drunk driver. Every drunk driver didn't mean to get in their car and kill somebody. That doesn't mean it's not possible, and it certainly doesn't mean that they don't have any consequences for that. So I don't give a fuck about your heart. I give a fuck about your behaviors, okay? If you are like, well, I'm not a toxic person, prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Because you are your behaviors. You actually are. If you expect the world to dig through your maze of toxicity to find the beautiful heart underneath it, why do you think people are going to expend that kind of energy to see the best in you? I mean, honestly, do you appreciate dealing with someone like that yourself? No. Like, maybe if they have a good heart, they could just act good. Is that too much to ask? So the first thing you got to do is get real clear with how you're behaving and how these are choices. These are choices. We've all got a sad song to sing, girl. My father committed suicide. He was wanted by the FBI. He was a career criminal. You think I don't have a reason to go and be an absolute war machine out in the world in my relationships to my friends? I do. I have plenty of cards to play. I don't play them because, like I said, I I choose not to see myself as a victim. I don't want to default to my worst possible self just because I might have an on-paper excuse for getting a pass on being terrible, right? I'm not going to do that. I expect better of myself. And I have always just had this idea that I am better than, fill in the blank. Maybe this is my latent narcissism. I am better than my demons. I am better than that person over there. I am better than whoever my ex is dating. I'm just better. And that's the good thing. It's like if I have this like narcissistic like streak within me, I hold myself to that same standard. No, I'm actually not collapsing and solipsizing into my own issues. I'm better than that. Are you? Let's see it. Prove it. Prove it. Do you want to see yourself as an inherently toxic person? No. And again, you might have a reason to act the way that you do. Who fucking cares? Fuck your reasons. Grow up. Grow up, girl. I'm telling that to you. I'm telling that to me. I'm telling that to all of us. Grow up. When Johnny got on that stand with like, my mother and my childhood, you're in your fucking 60s or 50s. You're 1,000 years old. Grow up. You know who had a sad song to sing? Nelson Mandela. And did he? No. He grew up and he took control of his life. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. But look, I understand that this video has been very sort of like esoteric, very cerebral. What are some IRL things you can do to cut the toxicity spiral? What can you do? First of all, you can block people. You don't have to block somebody for the rest of your life because that feels like death, right? It's immortality. And that can be really, really, really hard to deal with, especially if you're in a dynamic where you've sunk your teeth into this bad relationship or this bad friendship or whatever it is, and you won't let go. The last thing you want to do is let go in such a huge death-like way. That might feel like a bridge too far. Block them for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. That's it. That's it. Because what I want you to do in those 2 weeks is I want you to notice the vibe shift, the vibrational shift within you. How do you feel? For the first few days, you're going to feel mad. Talk about vibrating. You're going to be like quaking with anger. This is how I was. Here's what I should have said. I'm going to unblock him and say it. Don't do it. Well, what are they saying about me? What they could be doing this and doing that, and I don't know about it. You don't need to know about it. You ain't need to know. You don't need to know. Circus and clowns, front row seat, the ticket. Remember that example? Go back to that. What you're also going to do is look around your life, and this might seem painful at first, okay? But just trust me. You're going to see what other areas of your life might be a little bit toxic, all right? When I've looked at my toxic episodes with guys and my relationships or my toxic friendships, I was never in a good place in many other categories. I was in a very toxic relationship when I first got to Montana. That was not a coincidence. I didn't have a lot of friends yet. I didn't feel like I had a place here. I couldn't really remember why I'd moved. I'm like, I had a whole life back in New York City. What have I done, right? And so when I put him on ice, well, he put himself on ice because he went to jail. So, okay. When that forced icing happened, I had no choice but to take this like toxic energy and look around. I'm like, who else can I pick a fight with? Fuck. I can pick a fight with almost everything in my life. My house isn't clean. I need to make my friends. I haven't worked out in God knows how long. Chances are this toxicity has bled from one category to the next. Maybe it started with your body. Maybe you got into a really bad health place, you gained a lot of weight, you weren't working out, you fell off in that category. And so a toxic dude came along and you know what he felt? Familiar. It all comes back around. Of course I'm gonna date this person who treats me like shit because I already feel like shit. Because I know I haven't worked out in 6 months. I know I've put on 30 pounds. I know I don't meal prep and I eat whatever I want. So I kind of feel good. Good as our psyche defines it, not as in how we feel about like koalas and stuff. I feel good when this guy comes along and belittles me because you know what? I agree with him. On the most basic level, I don't think he's wrong. I am stupid and I don't have value because look at my life. Look at how I've treated myself. Yeah, he's right. No, I don't have value. So let's flip it around. If we can start our toxicity in a category outside of relationships, that means we can fix it in a category outside of relationships. I have become a completely different person since I lost weight. This isn't like a weight loss video. I'm not telling you guys to lose weight. But when I look back at my relationships last summer, and I had several of them, one as toxic as bad. I was also peak fat. I hated where my body was. I was not healthy. I was out of control. For me, for some people, I was perfectly in control. I'm a pretty rigid person. I'm kind of OCD about like my schedule and my work life. I'd blown all of that, right? And so therefore, I was drawn to relationships that were just as chaotic. I couldn't craft a stable relationship because I couldn't be with a stable person, because then I would have no choice to look at their stable life and then look at my unstable life and see a real big difference and feel even worse about myself. So no. I'm going to choose someone who is just as unstable as I am right now. Oh, they want to drink as much as I do. They don't care about work either. Bleh. Because then there's no difference. Familiarity. It's comfortable. I've been here before. I know what to expect. I wasn't requiring much of myself, so I was drawn to people who, same, right? When I got serious about my fitness, about weight loss, about my health, about my blood sugar, about my schedule, now toxic people come along and they are so incredibly out of place in my life. I'm like, just no. Because I like myself more, I communicate better, I hold myself to a better standard, I'm back on my champion narrative, right? I'm back on my alpha game. I'm not a victim anymore because I've taken control of my life. When my house is clean, I'm a lot more ruthless. When my body is functioning, I'm working out. I don't deal with bullshit from friends, from managers. I fired both my managers this week. Do you know that? I don't tolerate that. So an easy way to get out of toxic relationships, get out of the toxicity you have with yourself. What can you do today in your life to get your shit together? Maybe it's cleaning out your closet. Take some food, take some clothes down to the local food bank, drop it off. Clean shit out. I'm a huge believer in cleaning things out. We clean things out physically, we clean things out emotionally. Go for a walk around the block. These sound stupid. I know that they do, but they're not. They're baby steps that inch us away from the wrong place. There are these little micro habit stackings that refresh our memory slowly but surely, because we gotta go slow because we're not in a great place right now. And these big sweeping changes, I'm gonna do CrossFit 7 days a week and I'm gonna go back to school. No, you're not. I mean, you might 6 months from now, but right now, today, no, you're not. That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna start small because we want it to last. And we want our brain to get breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb that we have value, that we're better than this behavior, that we're better than, let's say our behavior's been fine. We're better than allowing someone with bad behavior in our life, from a friend to a coworker to a boyfriend. Nobody. We're better than that. And we're gonna look around our life and we're gonna point to just the littlest things. I did all my dishes last night. I meal prepped for the week. I made my bed. I'm like, get my shit together. Slowly but surely, it feels good. Ooh, fighting used to feel really good because it was familiar and I liked to fight and I wanted to be reminded that I was a piece of shit, and these fights did exactly that. But now, I don't feel as much like a piece of shit. I feel still sort of like that, but not 100%. So maybe I feel 20% not piece of shit. Okay. I wonder if I could get to 25 this week. Do you think, okay, so I made my bed, I meal prep, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I could go to Pilates class. Maybe I can download a language app, Babbel. Maybe I could walk my dog more. Maybe I could go see my grandmother. And then the shift slowly starts to occur. That pendulum starts to swing. 20% goes to 25, goes to 55, goes to 75. And then this toxicity that you had previously been allowing because it was familiar, because it was coming from inside, it's not so familiar. That's not how I communicate. This is actually exhausting. You know what I've been tired doing? Working on my next book. cleaning my apartment, working out. I don't have the energy for this. When I was in my toxic spaces, oh, I had the time. I made time for toxicity because I allowed the toxic things and the fights and the bullshit. I allowed it in because if I was in like this huge blow fight with a boyfriend, well, I didn't have to worry about responding to my accountant or, like doing anything like that. I'm in a crisis state. I'm in a crisis. I don't have to take my recycling out of my crisis. It's a great excuse, right? So we can't let ourselves get into that habit. I don't know Amber Heard's history. I really don't fucking care. I don't care about these two. Like, they're both so incredibly toxic. I think she's, like I said, of course, an abused woman, but I think she is also abusive. She does not seem to hold herself to a standard of behavior. Clearly, nor does he. But you know what? Fuck men. We have such a low view of them sometimes anyway. I'm focused on her. Like, pooping in someone's bed is a practical joke. First of all, who does practical jokes anyway? Can we just start there? What are you, an 11-year-old boy who went to his first magic store? The practical joke. Like, shut up. Shut up. Okay. Hopefully, we will never have to talk about these two again. Hopefully, you've gotten something out of this. But the TLDR is, if we want to get out of toxic relationships, we have to stop being toxic too. And the way to do that is, number one, to look in the face what we're doing. Number two, look at how it's familiar. How has this dynamic, this behavior either been acceptable before in your past? Did your parents let you run wild and do whatever you want? Did your mom do that and your dad permitted whatever was happening? Did they like to fight? Did they get this juice out of like breaking up and making up again? You know, there's familiarity here. Or is it scratching some sort of itch that you're not getting? I liked to fight because I didn't feel like I was getting into any intellectual stimulation from this one ex. Like, I'm just citing the most recent example. Like, I like to argue with him because it was the most interesting he ever was. I thought he was dumb. And so fighting with him, I'm like, oh, finally, like there's some excitement here. I was bored out of my mind. I could have gotten that intellectual stimulation from, I don't know, my career, writing a new book, working out, doing literally anything that was healthier. But I was defaulting to what was lazy. I was defaulting to what was giving me an excuse for working out and doing the book and all those things, right? Oh, we're in a fight and he's in jail and I can't. Blah, blah, blah. Or is the toxicity giving you, like I said, this distraction from something that you should be focusing on? Look it in the face and then take those little micro baby steps, making your bed, getting a workout in, cleaning out your closet. That's going to reinstate this feeling of I have value. And the stimulation, the familiarity, the distraction that this toxicity was giving me, I can get those things in a healthy way that's going to make my life more productive. And I'm no longer a victim. I'm a motherfucking champion. I want to know your thoughts on Johnny and Amber. I'm sure the comments are going to be on fire, you know, after this video. I get it. We're going to be back. I'm going to try to film from Guadalajara. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on Guadalajara. It is, yes, unfortunately, like the seat of the El Chapo cartel. But you know what? There's so much more to Mexico, so much more history and so much more beauty than that. So that might not be what we focus on. Come follow along with me on my Instagram at ShallonXO. And like I said, check out the latest episode of the Girl on Top podcast, available for free any place podcasts are found. I'll see you later, Shalligators.